Yes, we are.
Hi, everybody, and welcome back to Designing Women, the Quilters edition. And today we are joined by Laura from Orange Blossom Quilts, Terry from Lizard Creek Studio Quilting, Jen from Faith and Fabric, and Rayleigh from Sunflower Quilting. And unfortunately, Charisma can't join us today. She's busy doing all the things that she seems to do all the time. So today we are going to talk about sewalongs, how to run one, how to participate in one, and how to make it a successful sew-along. So we're going to be doing these talks from a bit of a business perspective. We're obviously all in the quilting industry, so we're going to give you a bit of a behind-the-scenes peek at what it takes to do some of the things in our quilting industry. And today we're going to talk about sew-alongs. But before we perhaps start talking about sew-alongs, to get a little bit more knowledge about each of us, I thought we'd ask a little bit of a question. So I wanted to ask the girls what their favourite colour is, and do they use that colour in their quilting and their quilts? So Laura, what's your favourite colour?
Well, is it obvious? It's orange.
Yes.
And
surprisingly, we're still friends.
I have an orange chair. My business is orange.
Do too. Do you use orange in your quilting a lot?
Yes, I have ever since I was little. I love pink and orange together. That was like that Brady Bunch colors in the 70s. Yes, that's my color scheme. Love it.
Awesome. Terry, what about you?
I pretty much love any color except earth tones. So pretty much all of them work for me. And yeah, I use them in everything.
Awesome. So you're kind of a rainbow girl.
Pretty much, yes. Good call.
Jen, what about you?
You know, we live near the beach in the fog zone, and I have to tell you, my favorite color is gray. And I know that's not really a color, and it's kind of sad and morbid, but like soft gray tones or those off-white grays, even like the light blues, like I love those colors. My whole house is painted in those colors. The walls behind me are actually a really soft gray, and I've kind of got the blue-gray shirt on, so those are definitely my favorite. And yes, I do make quilts in those colors.
Gray's an interesting one. I don't think I've ever had anybody say gray's their favorite.
It's kind of morbid, I guess. I've been told, like, it's not a color.
No, they're nice grays.
It is fantastic with other colors, though, because if you put it with other colors, like as your background, it pops everything. Like it makes it soft. It's not like bold, like black, or like just
and
average.
Jen,
like
you're
white.
wearing that lovely sort of mint coat or jacket today. It goes beautifully with the grey background.
The grey walls. Well, you know, you go to the spa and the walls there are very soft and grey toned, and so it just I find it very calming. It's a very calming color.
And what about you, Rayleigh? What's your favourite colour?
I am wearing my favourite colour. So this shade of red, it's more of a cherry red than a fire engine red, is probably my favourite colour. And do I use it in quilts? Yes, I do.
Cool. Okay, well, let's start talking about some sewalongs.
And what's your favorite color?
Oh, my favorite color is purple.
Oh, very nice.
Awesome.
So this is my business color. My logo's in it. All around the website is purple, but it's a royal purple. So it's a dark sort of bluey purple. Very hard to find that in fabric, so hence I rarely use it in quilting. So my favorite color is either blues and greens, which I've been doing a lot lately, or pinks and reds. So yeah, they're my more go-to colors for quilting. So thanks, girls. I forgot that I hadn't told about mine. So let's start talking about sewalongs. Now, I run a lot of sewalongs. I think I counted, and I'm up to my 23rd sewalong. So I started many years ago now, and I've changed things up as I go along. So obviously, out of all of us, I think, Jen, you said you've run a couple of sewalongs and about to do one. So you and I can sort of talk about the good, bad, and ugly of running them. But first of all, I just wanted to get a bit of a feel of what is it that makes you join in a sew-along?
Who's going to start? I'll start.
Whoever you want.
So, What draws me in? The pattern, the person, because sometimes they run a really good sew along, so it's well organized.
Yeah.
And do I want to have that particular project completed? Because if you can stick to the timeline, you're more likely to finish.
Yeah.
So
do you find that sticking to a sew along is kind of hard sometimes?
Your life gets in the way.
Very.
So I've seen some sew alongs that have like a break week, if it's a weekly thing, where they have a catch-up week, which I think is a great idea. Again, and if you do it so it's not too far in, where people get too far behind, then they feel like they can still catch up and be part of the rest of it. I guess it depends on the project and how big that is.
When I've participated in a sew along, I found that it's sort of like an accountability thing for me. So like what Rayleigh said, I know if I want to get it done, if I do it as a sew along and I have to post the blocks or take them into a shop and hang them on the wall, I'm more likely to get them done. Even if I'm doing them the night before, I'm more likely to do them all.
Sewing right up until the time that you have to post or take it.
It's a bit like the quilt show deadline, isn't it?
Yeah. What was that, sorry?
A bit like the quilt show deadline.
Oh, yeah. Nothing like a good deadline to, really get you moving, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
I like quilt-alongs because I'm a massive introvert. And so there's plenty of quilt guilds here I can join, but I get that like social anxiety going around everyone and people I don't know. And I'm sure I'd make great friends, but I feel like with the sew-alongs, you have that ability to be a part of something without having to be too far out there and make small talk with people you don't know if that's not your jam.
Well, if you are talking and you're be it on Instagram or Facebook or wherever you're running the sew-along, you're talking about the same thing. Yes. So it's not like you have to go, oh, do you have children? And where do you work? And, all that boring small talk. Us quilters would much prefer to talk about quilting.
And you can do a quilt along or sew along in your pajamas. You don't have to get up and do your hair and
you can do it at any time of the day or night as well. So if you're a night owl.
So true. You can then do it within that sew along at your time pace and time. So so we just briefly sort of touched on there on Instagram or Facebook, or Laura, you've done one where you take things into a quilt shop. I've never done one like that. That's awesome.
Yeah, I taught a lot when I worked in the shops. So I would have a block of the month or a sew along where they came in like every other week, and they would get the next piece if they brought their blocks completed.
That's a wonderful idea from a shop's perspective, to get that interaction with your customers, especially as a block of the month, so that if you're actually providing the fabric as well. So that's a great tip for a shop. I run most of mine on both Instagram and Facebook. Obviously now that Instagram's hashtags have, let's be polite, gone down the toilet, running a community sort of sew along on Instagram just doesn't have the same effect or feel. You can't see other people's posts unless they're super popular. So, it's really gone downhill from that perspective. So I always have a hashtag for my sew-alongs, but I've also got a Facebook group, which from a business perspective, I sort of recommend every sort of quilty business has their own little Facebook group. Gives you a wonderful way to showcase your products and all the rest of it to a group that is interested. But the Facebook group is a fantastic way for people to then show their blocks and have that sort of community stuff without, as Jen said, having to talk small talk. And it's amazing seeing what other people do with their fabrics and their fabric choices. So I just recently ran Edelweiss, which is a Camille Ross Kelly's pattern, and it came as a kit, though people could get her fabrics and do it as well. But seeing in the group, somebody did it in bright pinks with completely different backgrounds, and someone did it in light fabrics, and just seeing those differences that people come up with is so inspiring and so awesome. So
absolutely.
And I usually run the bulk of my sew along on via email. Again, coming from that perspective of people can do it in their own time and when they get to, reading their emails. And I put the real guts of the information into that email. I do videos for most of my sew-alongs, but my videos are restricted to a technique. So, it could be how to snowball a corner or how to line up small pieces or match seams or things like that. So I'm not showing how to do the block.
But that's really helpful to allow everybody to join in, even if their skill set is not as advanced as other people.
Exactly.
So some people will find that really valuable.
Yeah. Yes. And I don't know about you, but every time I create a new pattern or try a new pattern, there's something you learn. There's some little trick that somebody has, or, you think, oh, maybe I could try it that way. And so, sharing those sort of tips and tricks is, I think, probably one of the value points of doing a sew along, that people then see you as someone who has some experience and some knowledge, and they may take your tips and not listen to them or not take them into account. But I must say with this one, I don't know how many quilts I've done. I've got no idea. But the leaf unit had me. The first time I made a leaf unit, it was like almost an inch too big. And it was like, go back to basics, check your seam allowance, do this, make sure you're measuring, make sure you're trimming your bit. All those little things that, in your haste, you kind of forget. So sharing those things is good.
Yeah. And I have two comments I want to add. Your first one was on Facebook, on how you run yours through your Facebook group. I'm trying something new. I actually have a quilt along coming up in 2 weeks, a week from Monday. And I've done it in a Facebook group, but I'm trying something different this time to try to let people who maybe are not in the group or who just kind of want to follow along. So I have posts scheduled for each week of the quilt along on my main Faith and Fabric Facebook page. And then in every newsletter that goes out, it's tied to that specific post. So people can read the post and then in the comments be able to add their comments, their photos, whatever they want to put. So every week it'll be organized on the kind of the main page. Yeah. So that's something new I'm trying out. I haven't tried that before. I don't know if you guys have tried it before, if you have thoughts on it.
Yeah. Well, do you feel that blogs are sort of having a bit of a comeback?
Oh, I mean, to a point.
I sort of find I don't get a lot of comments on my blog, but I do get a lot of people signing up to follow my blog. Like 1,000 sort of people following my blog. So they get, every time I do a post, they get that emailed to them. And I was quite surprised that there's that many people that are still interested. So definitely. And
well, and to clarify, the main page I'm tying it to is actually my main Facebook page. So like I can post for the week that it'll tie it to, so they can add their photos. And I mean, you do have to have a Facebook account to do that. Yeah. But I agree with you. Instagram's gotten so hard to share things on. I mean, I have a hashtag for it, but it's a lot harder for people, I think, to share. And I think a lot of people just kind of jumped platform. They're just not even interested. Whereas, I think as just a person involved in the community, I'm always on Facebook, not just to follow my friends, but to see what's going on with swim lessons and to find out about the, our garden box. When is it getting delivered? I feel like a lot of people still have Facebook accounts as opposed to maybe not as many on Instagram or something like that.
But I think a lot of people are now, they're restricting what they do on social media. And so perhaps there is a swing back to blogs where people are like, I can choose what I'm looking at. And so, and they, I guess after the last few years, they want to look at what they want to look at. And so they're choosing to go back to the blogs, which
take some control.
So can I butt in for just a second?
Go for it.
I've only hosted one sew along. It was when I first started my business. So my business started in October of 2019. That's when I got my LLC. So guess what I did right before COVID? So what I did is I decided, because it was only supposed to be 2 weeks. You remember that? So I decided I would do a block a day, sew along, and you sewed from your scraps. I only posted it on my blog, on my website. I did not have a Facebook page yet for my business, but I got a lot of traction and a lot of traffic to it. So, and people still come and say stuff to me about it. So the sew along was called, and it was when the hashtags used to work on Instagram, was called Less Panic, More Disco. And so it all had a 70s disco theme to it. And I did a Spotify playlist, and I did a Netflix watch party stuff, like with vintage movies and vintage tunes. And so literally that's what got my business going, pushed me, because people were looking for something they could do from home. And I made them come to the website to get the pattern. If they came the day it was released, they got it for free. If they came after that day, they paid the $3.50 for the pattern. I was dumb, and I made it in every size imaginable, 4, 6, 8, 9, 10, 12 inches.
Wow.
So I was doing that every day and writing a blog post, and it was a lot. So that is a lot. So going back to what you said, Rayleigh, I took Sunday off every week. So we did 6. So it ended up being, we were in for 9 weeks. We were in lockdown in Illinois. I don't know about you guys, but I did 54 blocks, Studio 54, because I did 6 blocks a week for 9 weeks. So
oh my God.
I came out with this giant website of single blocks with 70s names to them.
What a fantastic way to launch your business, though. Gosh.
It was fabulous. And I am going to turn
it
into
intense, though.
That brings up something, though, of the length of a sew along. So you went for the 9 weeks of lockdown. So, lucky you went Victoria here in Australia that went through, I don't know, I lost count of how many months we were in lockdown. It was kind of ridiculous. Yeah. But what's your feeling for the length of a sew along? Do you like short and sharp and shiny? Do you like them spread out over a year? What's your thoughts?
I think there are benefits to both. If you don't have a lot of time in your month, but you get a month, there's a pattern that comes out per month, and you can spend a weekend doing that. And, at the end of the year, you've got enough blocks for a quilt. That would be fairly large blocks if it's one a month. Yeah. But if you then, I guess it depends on the project, because sometimes you could say, well, this is the block for this month, but you need to make 4. So it's 1 a week. But then is that better? You still got to put it together. So does the sew along cover the putting together? Because sometimes it doesn't, or a lot of the times it doesn't.
Yeah, I've started in mine, the early sew alongs that I was doing were just the blocks, and you put your blocks together and that's it. Hi, it's been lovely. Enjoy the sew along. Whereas now I've gone that extra further and gone, okay, we're going to all put it together, and here's all the tips and tricks for how to get blocks to match when they really aren't quite the same size and things. But also then another week of quilting suggestions, and this is how I've done it, but if I was going to custom, I'd do it this way, or you could do X and Y. And
you might be a long arm, Anne.
Yeah. And that was thanks to you, Rayleigh, when you joined me in, gosh, what sew along was that we were doing?
Oh, the trees.
That's right. Yes, the Just a Tree little sew along with the Christmas tree. And you came in with some quilting suggestions. I got some great feedback on that. So I've now included that as an extra week or month to the sew along of, hey, now that you've got the quilt top, don't just chuck it in the cupboard. Here's what you can do with it to get it finished. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
I have shorter ones for me. I have a shorter attention span, and so I like knowing that if I and it helps too. I think a lot of it depends on your stage in life. Like I know I like a quilt along that'll last 4 to 6 weeks, because I can kind of look at my schedule and be like, I've got that time or I don't have that time, and I know by the end of it I'm going to get something done. I also like when personal preference, if I'm participating in one, and that's why I do that in my quilt alongs, is it goes all the way from like we start week 1 is always picking your fabrics. And then the last week is always quilting and binding, because I want to finish the whole thing. I've done a few quilt-alongs where it's just usually making the quilt top. And I'll be honest, all those quilt tops are sitting behind you where you can't see because I haven't finished them. You know, I lose that motivation sometimes. And so for me, I prefer the quilt-along go all the way from, okay, I've got it and I've got to pick my fabrics. Here's some tips and ideas. And you made me think of it, Anne. I have a different reliance. So it sounds like when you do your quilt-alongs, you put a lot of that core content into your email. I tend to put a lot of that content into the video itself. And my emails are actually semi-sparse. I mean, you trying to think if you can even do it just by following just the video. And I think obviously you can follow it just with the pattern, but the core of the guts, you know, I'll have, you know, just kind of introductions and a couple of tips and things to watch out for. But a lot of the core, I do stick into the video just to have that visual of showing things, you know, here's things to watch out for. Hey, in this block, you're going to run into this. And it's not so much like a start to finish on every single block, but it has things like, hey, you're probably, like you were talking about your leaves, like, hey, when you hit block 7, you're going to get
watch out.
Yep, surprise. Here's how you deal with it.
Here's what can happen. Yes, exactly.
Yep, exactly. Well, and that's what you just said is so valuable in showing mistakes that you've made, because if you've made them, and gosh, if it's your pattern and you've made them, there's a real good chance other people are going to make those exact same mistakes too.
And showing that we're all human, you know, and we all have lives, you know, you're trying to do things quickly or whatever.
I think you have to be careful though when it's not your own pattern. Like such as the Edelweiss. Well, you know, it's not something that you want to share the details of because you want them to go and buy the pattern from the designer.
Exactly.
So we're walking that line there, which is good.
It is a very fine line, and I'm very aware of it when I'm doing a sew along for somebody else's pattern. But I'm also aware of it when I'm doing it for my pattern because, you know, hey.
Well, yes.
I'm a pattern designer. I actually do want to sell patterns. That comes back to Jen. Sorry, I got sidetracked. The reason why, as a business, you are doing a sew along is perhaps the very first thing to start with. Why are you doing it? Are you trying to increase your YouTube subscribers and watch hours, and therefore you're going to put more of your content into your videos? Or is it that you want to increase your newsletter subscriber list, so therefore you're going to put more of your concentration into the newsletter and therefore making that more valuable to people? Is it that you want people to come to your blog, so therefore you're going to be putting things more on your blog, your website, and you're going to be then teasing them with other things? So it comes back to that, why you're doing a sew along, because I don't know about you, Jen, but they take a really long time to do. There is a lot of effort. And one thing for anybody who's watching and wants to do their own sew along, do the whole thing up front. Because as we said, life happens. And that might be fun for the people participating, but for the person who's running it, you don't want to, gosh, I don't know, fall over and break your wrist and can't sew, or you're in hospital. It's just, so I've learnt that the hard way.
Yeah, me too.
9 weeks of COVID.
Well,
So,
exactly.
and-
I was literally in the middle of doing in-person teaching, like a class that was 2 weeks apart. Did the first one, and then the world shut down, and it's like, oh, how do I do the rest of it? Oops. That was fun.
Yeah.
What's something you
And when
hate?
I was going to ask you how you chose things, like, you know, what you choose your patterns. So you've chosen, your recent one was Edelweiss.
Yeah.
How do you choose which pattern you use?
Comes back to the why do I want to do a sew along in the first place? And I was getting so many pre-orders for the kit for Edelweiss, like so many. And I, in hindsight, could have sold probably double the number that I did. It was such a popular kit. So people were asking me. No. So the kits, lovely. The kits did, the kits came as a lovely boxed motor kit with all the fabric in it. but obviously Camille Ross Kelly sells the pattern as well, PDF and paper, so other people could go and get it. So yeah, I decided that I would do that as a support to all the customers that were buying the kit, and obviously then to reach a bigger audience overseas that was loving this pattern and this kit. So that was the reason I chose that one. I asked Camille whether I was able to do a sew-along, just in case she had been planning. Her summers are always busy with her kids and things, so she had said go for it. So that was lovely.
That is an important point, though, to check with the designer if it's not your pattern.
Exactly. And I must say I learned that the hard way, because I actually did one some time ago where I actually didn't reach out to the designer. Don't know why, but didn't, and started running the sew-along, and it was an amazingly popular sew-along. And as soon as I started to get more than 10, 15, 20 people, I was like, oh, okay, better reach out to the designer. And didn't get much feedback at all, and heard later that they weren't particularly impressed that I had done this sew-along that was so popular, because they obviously wanted to get all those emails and people and stuff like that. But so yeah, learnt ask first. But it also depends on the pattern. I obviously much prefer to do my own patterns, but I haven't been doing as many patterns, quilt patterns. This year I'm doing blocks, so I'm doing a little block of the month. But yeah, the last extra large one I did was the Barnstar Sampler.
Oh, yeah.
That was one of those block a month, but this block is, I don't know, 24 inches big and has 120 pieces in it, and you've got to make 2 of those.
Yes.
Anna, I want to comment on your why. When you asked, why do people do the quilt along? And gosh, I'd love to hear from you guys too. For me, my why was, it was back in March. I had COVID and I was just like in a bad mood. And it was funny because you said, you prep all your things beforehand. I was writing my newsletter that was going to go out, I think on like March 15th. And I was like, I have nothing going on and I'm depressed with COVID. We should have a quilt along. And I sent it out.
Oh no.
And I was like, what did I do?
That was very well done.
I was like, whatever divine inspiration I had to say, we should have a quilt along. I also included that for the first time ever, we were going to have kits. And so it has been a massive undertaking to figure out how to pull kits together. And to be fair, I've been getting a lot of requests for kits. And so that kind of tied into probably why I think I tend to be like a ready, fire, aim personality. Yeah. And I very clearly did that on this one. But,
except you went ready, fire, aim.
Yep, ready. Yeah, it's the story of my life. But it's actually turned into something really good. Again, kind of knowing how I operate that way. I do well with the pressure, that's fine. But again, coming to your why, the why of the quilt along, it drove me to finally commit to making kits. It drove me to make a video for one of my most popular patterns, which is something that's been requested, which is why I put so much of the content into the video, because for me, I want the video to live on beyond the quilt along. And I know there's 2 totally different schools of thought. Some people make the videos and they keep them private, and then that way they can use them again for a quilt along in the future. For me, I like to have like one solid video. And that's actually another point. I'd be curious what you guys do with your YouTube and your videos. I put my whole quilt along in one video. So the video comes out and it's from color to hanging it on the wall. And it's all broken out by sections. And I like that because YouTube has that ability when I share it in the newsletter, show the video starting at this point. And so I do have like, week 2, week 3, and it'll start at that point.
Right.
But I like it because I feel like even as a consumer, it's easier for me if I want to get ahead or if I miss something. I'm not trying to search for an email and find the video from week 2 because I want to go back and look at something. Everything for me is contained in one. I mean, it's long, but you're not necessarily watching it all at once unless it's, after the quilt along and someone is making it. So for me, those were my big whys.
That's a really good idea. I like the thought of that larger video. Yeah.
You get into that whole thing of, what's best on YouTube. Are people wanting short form or long form? And then it gets so much further away from what we love doing, which is creating.
Yeah.
It's creating of a
Yes.
different kind, a little bit more tech-based, which is not always, as much fun as fabric-based.
Yeah.
It's funny though, isn't it, with YouTube that I mean, yeah, people will watch the little shorts, which are just inane, quick things, just as entertainment. Whereas the long form ones, they've searched for something, and they're maybe not going to watch the whole lot all one hit, but they're going to sit there. I mean, things like Fat Quarter Shop's lives every week is like an hour and a half. It's like there are people out there who have an hour and a half on a Friday to just sit and watch a video.
Yeah.
Well, yes.
No, you just run those.
Like guilty sign.
I just put that on so that I have somebody in the room with me because I'm here by myself. So I really do just put those on just to hear another person in the room with me.
That's an interesting concept. Yeah. Yeah, I suppose with me for video, I watch it and I'm interested and I'm really engaged. Whereas you're sort of saying it's more background noise and
Yep.
yeah.
Well, and
I
YouTube
guess
has
it's
been
been
really
different
good
having
because-
music going.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I would say YouTube is really good because they have that comments or not comments, chapters. They have the
Yes.
chapters that you can, and either they'll figure it out or I always make my own chapters just so they're great. But that's, all my videos usually start off with me, after I welcome you saying, make sure you use the chapters below if you need to skip around, because I know even again, I always try to play like the consumer role, like what would drive me crazy about a video. And then I try not to do that. But I like it because if there's a section that's too long-winded, or if you don't need to see how to make this block for the third time because it's just in a different colorway, you can jump around the video. And I find it also helps. I think you were talking about the search algorithm that they've got. So on YouTube, when you're searching for, if you're searching for example, the Good Friday Lent pattern, you're only going to come up with one video. You're not going to come up with 6 different little videos because there were 6 weeks.
And then which one do you start with?
Where do you start? And then again, for me, I found it helps feed the YouTube algorithm if it's just one video that 100 people or 200 people that are in the Quilt-along are following and watching over the course of 6 weeks, then hitting all these videos, little ones, and then they die, and then really no one is picking them back up.
Yeah, and that also then forces you as a Sewalong presenter to have done your project from start to finish beforehand and made the videos.
Right, so that actually covers a couple of bases there.
Yeah. I should think of that. There's been quite a few times. I mean, I always try and finish the project before the Sewalong starts, but said life. But there's a lot of times that I will only do the video of that component the week before. So
I think it is it's a goal to be more organized so that we can maybe do the long form video, but definitely have it done ourselves before it starts, because then it's so much easier to concentrate on the people that are doing the sew along.
Yes.
Rather than, you're trying to finish your stuff as well as helping any issues that come up. So,
do you all... So one of the things that I love about Sewalongs is the organization. I am a bit of an organization freak. So I will always add in a little PDF of little tags that they can put for all the 40,000 pieces of the quilt, or give them some tips on how they can use paper plates, for example, to put out their pieces for a block, and then stack up a whole lot of paper plates by their sewing machine so I like adding in that organizational aspect, because I feel that a lot of people, especially with a longer sew along, get so overwhelmed with how am I going to actually maintain this for 6 months or whatever. What are your thoughts about organizing yourself for a sew along?
My thoughts are to watch your sew along so I can learn how to do that.
That's a good answer, Terry. Good answer.
Because organization is not my happy place.
And one thing, you've just thought of me, one thing I have not got is a standalone video on how to organize yourself for starting a sewalong, so maybe I'll.
There you
There
go.
you
Oh,
We'll see that next week, will we, Anne?
yeah, sure. While I've got the quilt up on the wall.
And
I'm
I love
sometimes in the same boat as Laura, is that I have so many ideas that I don't have time for them, and I just love giving those ideas to other people. So if I could learn organization from you, I'm going to join a sewalong that I haven't ever joined in because I never finished them.
It is hard sticking with a sewalong. I found that myself. I think one of the first sewalongs I joined in was a Laurie Holt one, like her Farm Girl Vintage.
Yeah.
Was that like 2015 or something? And
Mine's still going.
oops. But that was a massive undertaking, and I had no idea because I was just really getting stuck into quilting at that point. And it was like, how long? And there was these little tiny 6-inch blocks with all these tiny pieces. I got to say, I learned so much about quilting and blocks and piecing and all that stuff in that sewalong.
and I did curse words. And new curse words.
Curse words.
That black bar across your mouth.
Oops. What do you think about prizes in a sewalong?
I think they've done their dash. That's a bit of a bold statement, isn't it? I think they're great if it doesn't cost anybody anything, but it always does.
Yes.
And if you're a smaller business, then I mean, it's wonderful if the companies support you, but then that still needs to be sent out. And as we all know, postage is ridiculous at the moment. In Australia, it's just horrendous. But so there is that cost, and that comes out of the business. But then I guess we do have to look at, okay, has this sewalong helped our business to the point where we can then quite freely send that out, any prizes out to prize winners. I love the concept though of joining in for the sake of community.
Yeah.
I will tell you that I have participated in ones that have like quote unquote prizes. So I've never hosted one, but I didn't join for the prize. I joined because I wanted to make the quilt, if that makes any sense. But there was one I joined that you had to pay like $10 or something because you had to have skin in the game to get it done. And that was early on the sew-along market. But one of those I think I paid for was an Allison Glass one. And they had an enameled pin that the only way you could get it was to finish the blocks for the sew-along. So that was motivation for me because I have a enamel pin collection on a mini on my door. So I needed that pin. So I was for sure getting it done.
Needed that pin.
Yeah. So, but it was a way to get you to finish. And I think that that's a nice technique if you're popular. I don't think like a big prize is necessary, but I do like the idea that if you get it complete, you get like a little extra treat. I liked that.
Yeah. No, that's a nice one. Yeah, I'm a bit with you, Rayleigh. I think prizes have done their dash, for want of a better word. I used to offer them along the way for varying projects and sew-alongs that I've done, but I have felt in the latter years that people are joining for that community and for that accountability to get something done. So I just don't bother. It's a lot of hard work organizing them. They either come out of your stash, your business, your pocket, or you're then going begging to other people, which I used to hate doing. So and
I think all businesses are doing it a bit tough. So I think it's nice to not ask that of them. I think Laura touched on a good point. Sorry, Jen. That like I've recently done a swap event, and I have so I requested So it's run by a lady in America. But I requested that I only post to someone in Australia. So I've been paired up with a lady in Queensland, and so we are swapping. But you actually needed to there was a fee to join. And I think that covers, there is a lot of organization that goes into a sew along. And yes, you have that because you've paid a fee to join. Are you more likely to finish it? It's that it's a sort of a
serious money
mental dynamic. Yeah. So, but it also means that the person running the sew along actually, it's beneficial for them as well. So, and it's not an exorbitant fee. So, but it's a little bit of something. Exactly. And it's a bit like, and your Year of Hearts, which is currently running. I have a couple of blocks. These are the early blocks. There we go.
Oh, lovely.
So and I think this was the first one.
Yes.
So,
yes.
And I was actually going to sit and cut out and catch up while we were chatting, but I can't talk and cut at the same time. So,
no, that could end in disaster.
I multitask a few things, but I can't do that. So, so if your block is free for that month, and you send us a code in your email list, so that is good that to get that code, you need to be on your email list, which is beneficial for you, and then other people know what else you've got coming up. But then for after that month or after that period of time that it's available, there is a fee, and I think that's reasonable because you've put all the time into designing this quilt, as well as now you're offering it out there. You are offering it for a period for no fee. So I do think that's a reasonable ask for the time and the effort and the skill that goes into designing a quilt.
Well, what that does is it cuts down on false followership. So what happens is if it's free during the quilt along, those ladies are invested because they're coming to get that. And so that they know they're getting it for free, but they know they only have a short amount of time to get it. So they come and get it. And then if somebody finds it after the sew along is over, the discount price is gone on the first 3 or 4 blocks, they'll pay if they want to make the quilt. But if they're just collecting them to collect the blocks because they're free, then you're cutting out that part of the population. So you get a better customer loyalty group by doing that, because the lady's either serious about getting it done right away or she is a fan.
Or they're going to catch up later like me.
Yeah.
The block of the month Year of Hearts has been going really well. I've been surprised about that. Again, Jen, I was a bit like you. I think it was the 29th of December. I was sitting on the couch, having had a lovely Christmas, New Year week, thinking, oh, this is lovely. Oh, I could design some blocks. Oh, and came up with all these fantastic ideas, sent out the newsletter, and then went, oh, gosh, what have I started?
I remember chatting with you after that, I think.
But the community has been fantastic. I've met so many wonderful new people, and I have had a big boost on my newsletter subscriber list, which is what my intention for it was. And I do have a bit of a drop off after each month, but I sort of think, well, if they want the next one and the next one and the next one, they need to hang in there for at least the year. And hopefully by then they've seen what I've got to offer and, like what I have to offer, and will hang around for the longer term. So, it's always a bit of a gamble.
I think it's important what you talk about with value. And because I think, even to tie that back into when we were talking a little bit about, do you do prizes? Do you not do prizes? I think that value in a quilt along shouldn't just be what kind of tangible things am I going to get? Am I going to get a prize? Am I going to win some fabric at the end of this or have my pattern paid for? But what are those intangible benefits that you can add? And intangible to me doesn't have to just be like the feel good of the community. Like one of the things I do because I've only ever done patterns that are mine, and mine are all faith-based patterns. Whenever I do a quilt along, anyone who is signed up for it from an email perspective is going to get that week's update. But then there's always a devotional in there that I put that ties into the quilt that we're making. And to me, that's how I try to give that value add, because if you're making the quilt, 2 months from now when it's over, it's a 6-week quilt along. I think about that. I mean, if you're making it once it ends, you're not getting that extra value. So what is something that you can put, for whatever you're doing, if you're making a year of hearts, you put romance tips in there or something, you know what I mean? Like what is that fun little value add that you can add to your email subscribers? Yeah.
Got to give us the romance tips.
Or maybe it could be a soppy chick flick movie suggestion.
Yes.
Or
Netflix playlist.
Yep. Yeah. Well, Laura, like you said, you did.
I wanted to come back to that, Laura, because one of the things that I was thinking about is those little add-on things that we do. And for me, it's the organizational tips or the actual quilting skills and tips. But I loved your, playlist of movies or a Spotify playlist to, songs to go with the theme of what you're doing. So
I have to tell you that when I started that, I had no idea how long it was going to be. But the freaky thing was like the things you discover along the way. Like, so one of the songs that I picked was the Bee Gees' Staying Alive.
Oh, yes.
Because, I mean, that's the quintessential disco song, right? Okay, so we're in the middle of COVID. Yeah, we're in the middle of COVID, and the people on Soul Train are dancing, in the line. Anyway, the words to Staying Alive by the Bee Gees is uncannily spooky to go with that quilt along, because it said, everybody's shaking, New York City is breaking, but we're staying alive. We're staying alive. It gave it this whole different feel to that song.
Perspective, exactly.
Yes. That nobody ever thought 40 years ago when we were in our candy shoes with our big hoop earrings, sitting down with John Travolta, that we were going to be wanting them again. Like, I had no idea, but yes. And I also found this out, this is a funny thing. So I did something on the Rocky Horror, because you can't talk about the 70s without talking about the Rocky Horror, because it's iconic, right? Okay, so the girl that was in The Craft that played Nancy, I think her name is like Faruka Bulk or something like that. Tim Curry as Frankenfurter and her as Nancy in The Craft, it looks like it's his daughter. Like, they have the same face. I literally did a post about it because I was like, they could be family. So the things you discover like 40 years after the fact.
Yeah.
Just hold this thought. The sun has just come up far enough to be in my face, so I'm just going to go and close my curtain.
Okay.
We're going to look at your quilt now.
Yes, it's a beautiful quilt.
It is a gorgeous quilt.
It is. I like the colors.
So can we go back to how long a sew along should be? Like, are we? Because
I've done both. I did a Moda Stitch Pink sew along that was a block a day for 30 days for the month of October.
Right.
That was a lot of sewing.
Yeah.
But I was surprised at how many people joined in that one. They were really enthused. Obviously a certain type of person who has time every day to sew, but so that went surprisingly well. The year-long ones are a bit harder for everybody, I think. They start off really positive and yay, great. And then life happens. My personal feel and my gut feel is somewhere between, a month to 2 months is probably about a good length that people can push through the life things that are happening to get stuff done.
Yeah.
But after that, it can be a bit harder. So I try and have mine sort of that length.
I did one at the beginning of last year with a friend. So it was it was the Book Nook quilt.
Mm-hmm.
And I did it in red. It was fabulous. So I have all these red books on a dark grey background. It's absolutely gorgeous. And the hello, Kelly. That's a friend of mine. So it was a 6-week quilt along, and I actually met with this friend. So either she brought her machine and all her stuff to my house, or I went to her house, and we did that every week, like one night every week for 6 weeks. And we, I would rock up there, we'd eat a very quick dinner, and then we'd sew like crazy for like 3 hours. But we got it done. So it's something that you could commit to for a short period of time.
Yeah,
obviously I wouldn't be able to do a year of that.
No.
But I guess if you're really close friends, you could. I mean, she's lovely, but
backtracking.
And it depends on your job as well.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
Things like another friend is doing, the 100 days. So 100 days is what, 3 months. So and it's a block a day, but I don't do a block a day. I batch sew, which is
exactly. And I think a lot of people do for those 100-day ones. The 100 days, I think, is a bit of a different genre, because that whole 100 days project thing has quite a good marketing, I suppose, in the making community. So I think it's a bit of a rite of passage one, isn't it, to do at least 100 days of something.
100 blocks. I mean, but I think it's like anything that is a bit more longer term or concentrated, the skill building aspect. Like with your Edelweiss quilt, you've got those skill building aspects. And I remember in your Sewalong group, there were a number of people who were the leaf block through a number of people, and I think they had one side twisted, which apparently was easy to do. So
I did
it. So, I think those are the skill building things. And even if it's not that you've sewn it wrong, you've just, it's that trigger in your memory to not sew it wrong, to, measure twice.
And to learn different ways of doing things. I mean, the way I learned how to do a HST or a half square triangle in the very beginning of my quilting journey is completely different to how I do them nowadays. So, you learn different skills as you go along and find the one that suits your brain and your making way.
I think you also find out where you are prepared to let things slide.
Yes. Definitely.
That sounds
because
terrible.
This is not perfect. It looks lovely up on the wall, but gosh, you get up nice and close and personal, and it's like, Anne, what happened to those things that were supposed to meet? Oops. Nobody knows. Now, girls, sorry, I just need to start rounding this up because we're up at 52 minutes already.
Oh my gosh.
I know. It went quickly, didn't we? We're starting to chit-chat about lots of things. What else about Sewalongs do we need to sort of chat about or talk about?
I think one thing as a designer, it's important to think about, what are you going to do with this community that you've created once your Sewalong ends? Because I think for the few Sewalongs I've done where I've been a part of someone else's, my favorite ones have been where it finishes and it's like, but maybe there's something else that they're doing that you can join in, or here's how to continue following along with what's going on with this, new friend you've made because you've been watching her or even his videos the whole time.
Yes. Yeah.
I think the harder ones are the ones where it's like, okay, thanks. 6 weeks is over.
Yeah.
So I think thinking about that very last step, like what is the message you want to go out to these people in that last email that you as a designer are sending out to continue that relationship?
Well, I think we should address all of the marketing. Like, how are you marketing? How are you getting people to sign up? Like, what's the most effective way would be an interesting thing, because there's 5 different ladies here, and I think you would get 5 different answers.
Yeah.
Right.
Next episode.
Marketing. Gosh, isn't that a talk? Yeah.
I'm not good at it.
Me neither.
My Sewalongs, obviously I have a newsletter subscriber list now, so that is a reasonably sized, let's be honest, it's about 4,500 actually getting higher than that, probably 4,500 people. So I obviously start talking about the upcoming sewalongs in there.
Yeah.
And I literally market it everywhere. The first thing I will do is do a quick intro, welcome, hey, new sewalong video. And it is surprising how well those videos are viewed on YouTube. I'll do a blog post about it. Actually, I haven't really talked about the website. So on my website, I actually have a sew-along section. And so every sew-along gets a landing page on my website. And that landing page has all the information about what the sew-along is, when it's starting, what the schedule is. It also then has all the blog posts that I do, because I do a blog post for every week, month, whatever of the sew-along. And it has links to the videos as well. So there is a landing page. So from a SEO, search engine optimization perspective of Sewalong, that's where to go and find everything and find the links to things.
Which is really helpful for those that are following, that it's all in one place.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So if they've missed something, and like you were saying, how do I find week 2's video or anything like that? There's one spot that you can go and find all of it. But I do a blog post about the upcoming Sewalong. I post about it on Insta and Facebook. I try and do a cute little graphic if I can of, hey, this is what the Sewalong is, with a little bit of, saidwithlove.com.au and, links and stuff. So if somebody sees the image somewhere, they can find out more, because nobody reads captions anymore. It's terrible, isn't it? But yeah, I sort of blanket tell everybody that I possibly can, and on a regular basis as well, every newsletter.
Yeah. I know you sort of feel a bit like a broken record, but you just got to keep getting it out there, because not everybody sees everything.
No. Well, especially on Instagram, 1 in 100 people see things.
Yeah,
probably more than that. So it's the marketing of it is hard, and obviously it becomes easier once you've got bigger numbers that people see your newsletters and things like that. But the other thing too that I love about our group is that we then share. So Jen will share that there's a Sewalong coming up with Anne, and Anne will share a Sewalong that Laura's doing, etc. So having your other friends and businesses spruik about you as well helps as much.
So it probably would be good. So if anybody's watching this after this live chat, and you've got a preference for where you want to hear about it, put it in the comments so that we can learn from you where you want to hear about Sewalongs and what's the best way to reach you, because not everybody is on social media.
Exactly.
And some people have been on it and now are not on it because they've had a gutful. But
I sick of the adverts.
Yeah, that's right. So maybe that's the thing is it needs to go back to being blogs and email lists and all that, which you can choose whether you open it that week or that month or whatever. But it might be sort of the way to go. But let us know.
So I don't know if she's still in business, but Crystal Drummond, I think is her name, had a website called Let's Quilter Along.
Yeah. She's not doing it anymore, which is so sad. Yeah.
That was a really good spot in January if you were looking for a new project after all your decorations from Christmas went down. It was a lovely spot when I was just a quilter that I could go in and find something I liked.
And she used to do amazing, posts on Instagram and things like that. No, she moved and she's opening, I think it might be a retreat center or something, somewhere down.
I think she's
That's a whole nother topic.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, ladies, anything else we need to put into our conversation about Sewalongs? What's going to be our
I think we need to cover who's got one coming up.
Yes, who's
next?
Cover that. So who is next, guys? Have we decided that?
Well, not just that, but also the Sewalongs. So you've got one going currently.
I do.
Is it your hearts?
So a year
So-
of hearts is on at the moment, and you can find out more about that on my newsletter and my blog and my website and my Instagram, etc. And I'm actually going to do another one called. Actually, I haven't decided what the name of the pattern is. I've created a pattern for October, which is Stitch Pink, in aid of breast cancer awareness. And I've done that every year for some years now. So I've got a fantastic new pattern. It's a pretty nice and easy one. So we'll be able to do that. It may not be quite a month. It might be 5 weeks, but that one's coming up. I'm literally this week starting to make the sample of it and to start writing all my blog posts and emails. And I'm going to do one video. I think I'll try that this time. So that's the next one.
And you'll be
coming up.
ready before it starts, won't you?
Exactly. What's yours coming up, Jen?
So starting on the 12th of this month, we're doing a 6-week quilt along for the Lent Good Friday quilt. So the sewing part is really only 4 weeks. Well, I guess 5 if you count the very last week, which is quilting it and actually finishing it. But I'm looking forward to getting that underway.
And it's awesome. I did that one a couple of years ago, and it's a gorgeous quilt.
Thank you. Yeah, I'll stick a link to it in the comments.
Yes,
We
definitely.
should tell them that Charisma is starting one.
Charisma is starting one in September, but she's got sign-ups open now, and it's going to be awesome. By the way, her favorite color is pink, and the quilt is going to be of her pink barn, so that will be fun. I wish she had been here to
The
be
Little Pink Homestead, I think, is the title.
Yeah.
It's so cute. It's so cute.
Okay, so I have a quilt along or sew along going on, but it's not me hosting it.
Right.
So I designed a pattern called Going to Carolina in my mind for AccuQuilt. The pattern is a free downloadable pattern on the AccuQuilt website. And AccuQuilt is hosting a sew along using my pattern this month.
Awesome.
Fun.
Well done.
That's very cool. Very cool.
And I'm
I
hoping
don't
at
have
one
any
point
sew-alongs happening, but
to
I'm joining
actually
in.
Just join into a sew along. That would be fun too. I haven't actually joined in one, so I'm hoping that maybe I'll join in Charisma's. So we'll see.
Yeah. If you need to, you can check on my website for the project done, which is getting them all finished. So
Yes,
we're all about getting them done here.
finishing up, exactly. Yeah. Well, it has been lovely, guys. It was a very early start to my Sunday and Rayleigh's Sunday, but it was lovely to see you all, and I hope people have gotten some ideas on sew-alongs. Pop any questions or comments you have below once the live is saved and up on my YouTube. And next month we will make a decision on who's hosting next month and let you all know through our newsletters and all the rest. Follow all the different YouTubes, because all of us have fun, different things available upon our YouTubes, and we will see you next month, guys.
Sounds
Bye,
good.
y'all.
See you later.
Bye.
Bye.